The Sixth Hour. Mara had walked these halls for 20 years. She knew which floorboard groaned in the foyer and which window rattled in the wind. The Smiths were gone now, their children grown and moved to distant cities, leaving only the dust and the memories for Mara to tend. She carried her cleaning bucket like a shield against the growing quiet of the empty manor. The silence was the heaviest thing in the house. It sat in the corners like velvet, muffling the sound of Mara's footsteps as she polished the mahogany banister. She avoided the eyes in the portraits lining the grand staircase. They seemed to watch her with a hunger that hadn't been there when the house was full of life. Every stroke of her cloth felt like a heartbeat in the stillness. As the sun began to dip behind the jagged tree line outside, Mara checked her watch. 5:55 p.m. A chill that had nothing to do with the winter draft swept through the kitchen. She always made it a point to be gone before the sun set, but today, a misplaced set of keys had delayed her. The air felt charged, humming with a static that made the hair on her arms stand up. The grandfather clock in the hall began its slow, rhythmic toll. 1, 2, 3. With every chime, the light seemed to drain out of the world, replaced by a thick, suffocating twilight. Mara froze in the center of the hallway, her hand hovering over the back door's lock. The metal felt impossibly cold, as if the house itself was turning to ice. 4, 5, 6. The final chime didn't fade. It hummed in the floorboards, a low vibration that made Mara's teeth ache. The air grew thick and smelled of damp earth and old, forgotten lilies. The 6th hour had arrived, and the house was no longer empty. A heavy thud echoed from the floor above, the sound of a door being kicked open. Mara knew that the sound came from the nursery. That room had been locked for a decade, ever since Alistair, the youngest Smith child, had vanished into the woods behind the estate. Driven by a grim sense of duty, Mara climbed the stairs. Her pulse was a frantic drum against her ribs as she reached the landing and saw the nursery door standing wide open. Inside the room, a wooden rocking horse swayed back and forth, its hooves rhythmically striking the floorboards. Alistair stood by the window, his clothes tattered and damp as if he had just stepped out of a marsh. He wasn't the boy Mara remembered. His skin was the color of moonlight, and his eyes were two bottomless wells of ink that seemed to swallow the room's light.